I had to go outside.
We got this.
Not by choice. This is just something we have to do. Ideally, I would have stayed home playing video games and overthinking my life until it was all over. But every once in a while, you just need to be around good people. So I went to see The Hobbit. Alone, because apparently that's what you do as an introverted, solitary guy. You go to the cinema to watch a fantasy film based on a children's book for the third time and hope that the girl at the ticket booth doesn't recognize you from the previous 2 visits, or think that you're stalking her. Which, by the way, if you are a pretty girl watching this video, hello, you're probably one of the first. Perhaps don't pick a part-time job where you're on display, interacting with the public from inside a geographically stationary perspex box. It works for the Pope, but only because he's old and nobody wants to fuck him anyway. And besides, his box has wheels. But I digress. I leave my house at about 7 PM. It's dark and wintry, and of course the clouds have the decency to rain on me. And presumably everybody else, but who has time to check? At this point I'm walking fast. Even on a weekday I don't want to hang around outside for too long on my own. My area isn't the greatest community-wise. Visually it looks like the perfect cookie-cutter Pokemon-style village with an old-fashioned train station nearby. But in reality it's inhabited by more than a few questionable folk. I'm literally on the wrong side of the tracks. And for a pale guy with my kind of accent, who isn't used to fist fighting in the dirt in my pants, that's a problem. A fact that was further reinforced when some dickhole chav and his 2 inbred cronies attempted, to their credit, to politely mug me. I see them in the distance, 3 gorilla ape men lurching towards me like knuckle-dragging plebs, not a single unique chromosome between them, and a unibrow that I'm sure they all shared. Lead alpha primate number 1 puts on his best intimidating swagger. Like a dog trying to walk on his hind legs if he was filled with Lambrinian testosterone, with arms much too big and a brain far too small. They looked about 45, which means in chav years they could be anywhere from 12 to 22. Being a glass half full kind of guy, I thought, great, I'm gonna get my head kicked in by thugs. Perhaps by the time I awake from my coma, I'll be able to stream the film via Netflix from the comfort of my full body cast. The lead chav got right in my face and aggressively said,
"Oi, give us your iPhone."
You've got to admire the optimism of the guy. He was treating this potential theft like I was some kind of Amazon wish list, as if I would happen to possess whatever he desired if he shouted loud enough. Like a Neanderthal version of cosmic ordering. But no, luck was on my side as I only have a humble Samsung Galaxy S3. For those in the know, an Android device, and not the much coveted Apple iPhone. And that's when I realised. This guy's eyes were pointing in different directions, almost as if he had evolved the ability to keep one eye on the lookout and another on his target. He had to keep turning his head to try and look at me with both eyes, not understanding the physical limitations of his own face. For a moment I couldn't even be sure if he was talking to me. I mean, he was right there, but it was anyone's guess who he was trying to make eye contact with. I'm sorry, but I can't take you seriously as an intimidating character when your eyes point in opposite directions. It cannot be done. If you are a visually challenged delinquent, then you need to find another pastime. Maybe as a pantomime horse or a goat or a security camera. Something where it's acceptable to have Jim Henson Cookie Monster eyes. Just anything that can either take advantage of your appearance or doesn't rely on it for dominance. I considered the absurdity of this situation before suppressing my smile and continuing my journey. Phone still safely in my pocket. Power walking a little faster now and hoping that by the time the film was over, these goons will have Darwined themselves out of existence. Eventually I arrived at the cinema, a little wet but otherwise okay. They had posters advertising their all-new digital projectors, which is amusing considering the building is old and decrepit and mostly run by old and decrepit people, with the exception of the attractive girl who just happened to be off work that night. I buy my ticket, get some Pepsi, and peruse the selection of sweets. Because if Peter Jackson taught me anything, it's the importance of bringing provisions with you when watching a 3-hour film. It would be a shame to die of starvation halfway through and miss the end of the trilogy. Fearing deep vein thrombosis and people in general, I pick a row to myself and spread out to view my surroundings. Typically, most projectors will face the opposite wall in a rectangular room. However, this charming, yet arse-backward cinema has a right-angled trapezoid-shaped space, meaning that the projected image is skewed and off-center, and often out of focus, proving that it doesn't matter how digital your setup is. If you can't aim the projector at the screen, then I'm still only seeing half a blurry movie. Anyway, the film starts to roll and everyone settles in for the long haul. The cinema isn't busy at the best of times, so I'm only in the company of about 8 other people, 2 of whom are legitimate children. They must have been about 6 or 7. I don't really know, who can tell. And they're sat there in front of me with their dad, completely engrossed in this tale of dwarves, hobbits and adventure, and it's a beautiful moment. Until the youngest points his chubby, bogey-covered finger towards the screen and says at the top of his shrill little lungs, "Daddy, that man's nose looks like your willy." Dead.